It's Saturday afternoon. The wind is up and Sydney Harbour has become a racetrack. Today, the fastest sailing skiffs in the world will compete for the money, the glory, and the sheer excitement of scudding across the waves like finely tuned thoroughbreds. Watching the 18-footers on a blustery afternoon is a Sydney folk ritual as regular as the summer breeze. In a sport bound up by strict rules and design, the 18-footer is a maverick, a wild outsider that has regenerated while other types have stagnated. From hulls that once carried 15 men and enough canvas for a 50-foot yacht, the 18s have become lightweight flyers with a crew of 3 perched out on aluminium wings. With unlimited sail area and hulls built for maximum speed, here is a machine that in 90 years of evolution has always been pushing into the realm of the experimental, even the impossible, a billowing fantasy, always a little beyond the limit of human control. Like yacht racing, the colony was divided by class rules, and this began as the sport of the workers. No elite membership was required aboard the Sydney Flying Squadron's ferry. Ladies and larrikins, businessmen and bludgers, bookies and punters, they all flocked to the harbour to gamble and gape at the reckless and the bold. This is the story of an Australian institution, a drama that's played out every weekend on Sydney Harbour, and the people who've become part of it. In his early 90s, wee Georgie Robinson is the old man of Sydney 18-foot sailing.
There's so much in it that people don't realise what sail's all about. So you've got to design the boat, build the boat, sail the boat, you've got to rig it, you've got to understand the tides, and the winds where they come from, and the birds, magpie flying around, you know, good breeze. I always used to, Saturday morning, walk out in the grass, my bare feet and walk through it. The big dew, good northeaster, here we come. No dew, no northeaster, and put the big sail on. And the fish in the water. See the shape of the fish, the water on it. The bird in the air, the wings, the shape of the wings, what's going to bring in.
Since the colony began, the people of Sydney have been going down to the sea in boats. The harbour was the city's reason for being. It made Sydney one of the finest ports in the world. But on the weekends, the busy harbour becomes a playground, a recreational hub where the people can refresh themselves.
Northeast to northwest winds at 5 to 25 knots by this afternoon, ahead of the late southerly change. Sea smooth but becoming moderate to rough near the change. Next low tide will be at 11 minutes past 12 this afternoon. The next high tide, 16 minutes past 6 tonight. Outside at the moment it's 18 degrees, 1 degree above average. Relative humidity is 84% and conditions are calm.
Can you do a pick-up from Pier 1 back to Darling Street?
1 in 15 of the people of Sydney owns a boat. Every weekend, there are at least 80 different races being held on the harbour. The 18s have 2 organisations to race with. On Sundays, it's the New South Wales 18-foot Sailing Club. But today, it's Saturday, and the Sydney Flying Squadron will look after the race. Although the race doesn't start till mid-afternoon, the preparations begin early in the morning.
Once you start sailing, it's 2 days a week from beginning of summer to the end of summer. Probably 3 or 4 nights a week working on the boat. It's just a full-time commitment. Puts a lot of strain on it. But I'm pretty fortunate. I've got a pretty good wife.
I'd go out because I'm interested in the sailing, and I've been going that long, and I go nowhere else of a Saturday, and I always look forward to the sailing season coming round. And when I'm going down, they'll say, "What, are you still going sailing?" I said, "Yes, still go sailing."
the harbour all my life, and I like the harbour. I've been all over the world for that matter, and I'm glad to come back to Sydney. The best in the world.
This weekend will be the third and the 14th of the state championship for the 18-footers, the world's fastest mono hulls. The championships are still pretty wide open with a number of boats still in contention. The favourites would have to be Tia Maria, Brad Mill and Chesney Bond. The 18-footers are always great viewing, especially on the weekend with that strong breeze that we have today, and it makes the third heat even more spectacular. For those catching that spectator ferry, I suggest you have a little wager on Brad Mill, because it appears to be performing much better in the strong breeze. But if you're looking for an outsider, Prime Computers, the new boat for the 18-footer scene, is a bit of a dark horse. It may do well, that's if that breeze doesn't get up too much this afternoon. On Sydney Harbour, this is Rod Spargo for 95 2UE.
The races are much faster than they used to be because the boats are much lighter. I understand the new boat weighs 160 pounds, where before the old 18-footers of 40 years ago would be 400 pound easy. Very strong timbers in them and were very heavy.
Well, they carried more men. You wouldn't be 16 in the little, they're paper mache boats, you know, and fiberglass. And well, one fella put his fist through one of the boats. Just tells you how light they are.
I think $1,000 for a mast. I nearly fell over when I saw that in the thing. $1,000. And KB's up for sale for $25,000.
It's not a worker man's toy, as you know. They have a lot of sponsors now, which they didn't have.
Sponsors aren't easy to find, especially ones that are fairly generous, you know. Most of them just give a figure each year, and when you've used up that figure, that's your limit, you know, that's it. And in return, of course, they expect you to sail every weekend, and magazine coverages, you know.
It's a money-making game, isn't it?
Now, if you'd like to follow the 18s, don't forget the Spectator Ferry leaves Circular Quay at 2 o'clock, and you certainly have a perfect day for it.
Oh, I've been going down over 70 years. Mervyn was only a baby, and he'd be 76 on the 4th of January. 50 years I've been going down to the boat race. Yeah, I haven't missed a race. The only two, as I told you, was when the King died and the Rodney disaster, and there was no race. I still love sailing, and I think the fresh air does you more good than anything else.
I've been there, nearly 40 years, I think. You didn't take me, did you?
I didn't think Dot would come all the way down from Gosford when she went to there.
From Gosford, I go down to Hornsby. From Hornsby, I get in a bus to Dee Why. And from Dee Why, I go round to Manly. And from Manly over to pick up the scones at Manly and come over on the boat and then on my own boat. So you know what a travel I have every Saturday.
Dot and I have always got on very well together, you know, very well indeed. And her sister Bella, she belonged to the club. She used to come down every Saturday too. But her husband died very suddenly and she gave the club away, you know. But not Dot. Dot will stop there till finished.
We come out early, we start the race. After the race has started, we up anchor and follow it. You get a pleasant harbour cruise, not have to pay a cent for it. And then before they finish, we come back and lay the finishing line, finish them and come home. We enjoy it. The only drawback is we're first out and last back.
Father took me down when I was about 8, and every Saturday morning Blake used to come down and take about 3 or 4 of us out training us.
Trevor sailed in little boats from the age of 8 and went right through all the different classes.
Sailed in Manly and Juniors and then in the 16s and now into 18s.
He finally finished up sailing in 18, sponsored by a very good sponsor, Bonds.
With boats ranging from a new boat in the water up to $60,000. Sponsorships of that calibre are few and far between. You get the odd sponsor will sponsor a second-hand boat. You can pick up a second-hand boat for $20,000, $30,000 or $40,000, fairly good one. But at the moment, it's sponsorships, you know, pretty hard to find.
Yes, possibly too much money these days, the way monies are. We're even considering for next year that we go down to a two-handed 18-footer. Only a couple of rigs and only 2 men, a smaller boat, and probably half the cost of the boat, you know. We've got to do that these days. Because the conventional 18-footer as they go around today is in the vicinity of about $80,000, which is just getting, you know, we're starting to run out of sponsors.
I suppose the bloke who's done most to make the class what they are today would have to be the 5-times world champion, Ian Murray.
The materials actually in the mould here is an aircraft procedure using aircraft materials, and when I say aircraft materials I mean carbon fibres and Nomex honeycomb cores, and they're all placed in this mould and then heat cured in this oven to produce a boat that will probably weigh 40 or 50 pounds before it's fitted out, which for the size and volume of it is unobtainable in any other material.
I have been doing the chocolates and the lollies now, I would say, over 30 years. The chips now, Smith's, their salt and vinegar and their plain chips are 23 cents to buy. All right, I don't charge any more than 23 for those because I think that's enough. But we make it up on the chicken ones, see, that you might buy for 20. Well, you're making that up on theirs, see. And then we make up the money on the drinks. They're 40 cents, the drinks.
I used to get up 4 o'clock in the morning and make custard tarts, apple pies and all the damn rest of it. As soon as their eyes get on that, I want a bit of that, I want a bit. Well, I couldn't make that much to go around the boat. I had to cut that out. It was too much every Saturday. And then be harnessed up with all this damn stuff, juggling it down the damn boat race.
The smaller chocolates, crunchy, yes, well, I get those crunchy, see, for 34 cents. Well, we sell them for 38. They're 43 at the railway there, you know, some of them are 45. Well, then I don't buy the violet crumble because they're too dear and you'd have to charge 50 cents for those, and the crunchy's just the same as that other. I didn't take down near enough of those last week. Everybody wanted them. I lay out about, $10.50 to $11 each week, you know. I don't make anything on the 2-cent lines because I have to buy those down at the corner and she wouldn't give you one over even, you know, but you've got to have them for the kids. But the kids don't mind what they pay for them, you know. See, I don't make the money, the club makes the money. I like selling down there. I should have been in a shop. Yes, Dot went out. She's a heavyweight, I told her, you know.
I used to sail in the boats, but get a bit old now, a little long in the tooth. But I would sail, just the same. The weather was pretty rough, and my husband said, "You're not sailing today." But I said, "I'm going to sail." Of course, ladies' championship it was. And the boat turned over and we all went different ways, and the water seemed to soak and just drag me down. I also went down to David Jones's locker to see what it was like. If I hadn't have come up, I didn't panic. I just tread water till I got to the top. And if I hadn't have poked my head up to get that breath in, I think I'd have been gone. But the devil don't want me yet.
Ferry ticket.
A couple, thanks. Here we go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Unlimited sailaway creates a lot of excitement. Because they're a sponsored boat, you know, you can afford to have almost the best of everything. So you wind up with a very high quality boat, and very, very few in the fleet are far behind the rest. They're usually very evenly matched. And of course the prize money is a good incentive. Not that there's a great deal of money in it, but very, very fast boat downwind, quite unstable, quite difficult to sail, but they're a lot of fun.
Your first problem when you're rigging up is selecting the correct rig. You've got 4 different rigs. Say you go at the number 2 rig and the wind blows in and you get overpowered, well, you've got no hope against the guys that go at number 3 rig. It's more important in the 18 than any other class, I suppose, because no other class has this problem on 4 different rigs. And lots of races have won or lost on the rig selection alone.
East-northeast.
Right.
Should be able to reach bottom here. Enough rope on it.
On the bottom now. Okay. Let her go.
Righto,
She's cleared, yeah. She's cleared, John.
All right, away we go.
Stay down to the other end. Young, ready, Bob?
You see how many gets on now, only about 30 at the quay. But if we didn't have the crowd over at the clubhouse, we wouldn't do any business. Now, once upon a time when we had the showboat each Saturday, and they had dancing on board and everything, well, you couldn't hardly get on the boat. There were that many. There's quite a number now that have been coming down, I would say, easy 40 years. Especially some of the men, you know. But Mrs. Carr's the one that can remember. Oh, gee. She can go back for years, that woman. And when the big boat was on, they used to carry 14 and 15, as many as 16 men. And when the Queen of the Harbour was on, they'd take a lady with them. But we never had no capsize. I had a good trip in the Advance. That's when I won the second with the Queen of the Harbour. And
tell me about the badges you've got there.
well, the gold boat, that was presented to me over 50 years ago by the club. And my other badge, I'm a Life Vice President and a Life Associate member. It's been wonderful. But the big boats then, they were something to look at. Well, the Britannia, it was sailed by a young, well, they used to call him Wee Georgie Robertson. He carried the most sail of the lot, I think, the Britannia.
Now, this is the Britannia. She was launched on the 8th of October, 1919, and raced for the Sydney Flying Squadron for 25 years. I then turned her into a launch, put a coach house on her, and rebuilt her and put engine in her. And then I took on the starter's job, and I said I'd take it temporary till I got somebody. It was temporary for 28 years. In these days, well, you had to sail it, and you had to keep it afloat. Well, that's the art of sailing. You wasn't allowed anything mechanical. When you got the water in, you had to bail it out with a bucket or a baking dish, and if you couldn't bail it out, well, you was history. The water was round your neck.
Fortunately, the 18 guys, you know, they're a real good bunch of blokes. A lot of classes that, you know, the guys are all stuck up, but 18s, they're real nice guys. Everyone will always give you a hand off the trailer with the boats, and of course these are quite heavy. To get them in the water, you take 4 or 5 guys. Everyone gives them on a hand, you know. It's a good social scene, the 18s. Everyone goes up the club afterwards for a drink, and you know, and that's a prize giving each week, there for every race. It's a terrific social, good family outlet. You know, the wife, kids can go out on the ferry. And, it's just an all-round good scene.
A lot of the guys bag women, and they don't think that they'd be good enough on it, and they like to think that they're the only, you know, these guys do. But it is very hard for a woman. I mean, Julian needed someone like to sail, and so he rang up and asked if I could sail with him. So I've got the rest of the season with him. Terrific. His boat's really good because it's easier to work for a girl, but the other boats I don't think I could do it. And so everything's got an extra purchase on it. But I don't see why it has to be so hard for them to work it. If they just put extra purchases on, girls could sail the other ones.
Run out.
The ferry leaves the quay approximately 2 o'clock and proceeds from there over to our club, the Sydney Flying Squadron, over at Kirribilli, where we run a pretty tight schedule there. The idea is to leave Kirribilli around about 2:15 of an afternoon, and we steam straight across the harbour to Double Bay to pick up some other patrons over there, and then we just go to wherever the starting point is in the harbour for a 3 o'clock start of the race.
Thank you very much. Pay tickets!
There's so much drink going on there today. We'd never see that years ago, never. You'd be ashamed if anyone see you come on a boat with a drink, you know, but now they just open slather. But they don't do any harm to anybody. They'd rather have their can of beer than a cup of tea, some of them. But the older men, I think they'd sooner have their cup of tea and a scone, you know.
Had so much enjoyment out of sailing and so forth, and now that I'm sort of over the hill as far as the sailing of these boats is concerned, I felt that I should put a little bit back into the club and help where I could, and now I'm the Commodore.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Sydney Flying Squadron, welcome down today to what promises to be a very, very good third heat of the New South Wales State Championship. Good breeze out there, and I feel sure that we'll see some spectacular sailing.
Okay, JB, put her in reverse.
Going as that. The idea is to line the feather, head into the wind, and line the boat up, looking into the mirror that's set at about 46 degrees, let the boat drop back until the mirror and the buoy line up, and then snap your anchor tight.
Smack on.
And that's your 90 degrees to the start line.
Right, it'd be number 1 course, John?
Oh, definitely number 1 course.
Head up. Head up.
We just have the starters boat here. You can note there, most boats out here appear to have their third rigs on today, owing to the pressure conditions. And let's hope we see a great race. We're here nice and early for the start.
5 minutes to go. 4, 3, 2, 1, now!
5 minutes to go. The adrenaline starts to pump.
Right there, 5 flags showing. Good.
The next 5 minutes can decide whether a race is won or lost. And the countdown begins.
2, 1, down!
Every minute, one of the red flags is hauled down. In a scratch race, the aim is to hit the line at the end most favoured by the wind direction at full speed and precisely on the gun.
Down!
The problem is that everyone else has the same idea. A bad start, a few seconds late across the line, and the mob will have you covered for the whole race. Make the run too early, and you're over before the gun. A second too late, and you may as well be a minute.
1 minute.
Before the start, tension builds up in the crew, and the start is critical importance. If you get a bad start, you end up getting interfered air by other boats and can end up a long way behind the leading boat. And that often means that you haven't got any hope of winning. So naturally, the crew gets tensed, more and more tense, and we tend to snap each other and shout, yell a bit.
She's ready to fire.
30 seconds to go.
But once that gun's gone, there's that tension's over, and you're out and going, and it's a bit of a relief, really.
15. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down. You're racing.
I'd like to extend a hearty welcome to people that are perhaps down here for the first time today to watch the boats. I'll try and give you a little summary as the race goes on as far as the positions are concerned. I know for sure that we have some interstate visitors on board today. Welcome to you, and I hope you really enjoy the afternoon.
This is the ultimate. It's really fast. When everything goes right, it's terrific. You only need one good race, and you remember it forever.
the last 3 years, the boats have gone from being 8'4" wide to 18 feet wide, which has produced an enormous riding moment for the boat, which has then increased the horsepower of the boat by almost 100%, which is the same sort of thing as turbocharging a car, I guess, and the results have been really quite staggering.
Steady. As long as the bruise is steady, you can clamp on the speed and just go flat shape.
Okay, let's do it now. Yep, ready? Head to course, come on out.
And we're going, 3 times the pace as anybody else out there. And a lot of the people in the yachts don't realise the speed with which we catch up to them, and all of a sudden they panic and you're on top of them and there's collisions. Virtually we have to give way to everything because people just can't react as fast as what we can.
Even Brendel to win the race. Even Brendel to win the race. Even Brendel to win the race. 2 to 1. You can have 5 to 2 Eddie push hard. First mark. 5 to 2. 2 to 1 Charlie. Evens Brendel. Even money Brendel. Evens Brendel to win the race. Brendel before I can see him. I can't see him.
I can't understand them not being allowed to bet on them either. Now last week, Bill came up, he said, Tia Maria's 4 to 1. Well, I should have taken the tip then. Because Jim has a little bit of Tia Maria with cream on the top, my daughter, the night time. And the heading in the paper was Tia Maria's the boat for today. I let it go. I don't bet on anything much, but I should have bet on that.
Every weekend, the boys, as soon as they hit the water with the boat, well, we drive around to Bradley's Head, which is the best vantage spot to see the race because you're almost in the middle of the entire course. The keenest spectators get up there and there's so much comment what they should have been doing and what they shouldn't have been doing from all the different managers and sponsors. Our sponsor is a very, very busy man. However, he's often been known to get off a plane from overseas or interstate and come directly from the airport straight down to Bradley's Head to watch the race. He can come down there and forget all his business worries, and I just talk him to death on sail. And we both got Chesty Bond stuck on the end of our field glasses, and we don't see many of them other boats.
Oh, it just leads him, but I think Bradman will beat him round himself. What do you think?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's, well, as you say, it's neck and neck, although I think Chesty's just in front of him.
Starley first mark, yes, at the moment, yeah.
Even Brendel to win the race. He wouldn't do it for 40 years. Sonny Bramble to lead round. You don't know where the wind's coming from. He wanted Bramble to lead round. Done him a turn. I reckon that's done him a turn. He wanted Bramble to lead round. Late even 50 Bramble. He wanted Bramble first mark.
Not much in it, mate.
He wanted Bramble first mark. He wanted Bramble towards Bramble. Evens Bramble.
Total teamwork. When you go around the mark, you really have to know who does what to get a spinnaker up. If everybody goes for the one thing, then nothing else gets done and everyone stands on everyone. You've got to have a couple of seasons together before you get any good.
I got your head, Sue, come on! Ready on the wire! Watch this three-way! Get a chance, Sue! Hold on.
but it's commitment for the sponsor. You know, the sponsor does the right thing, then you know, you'll get a good boat and you'll go well.
You've got to have a good forward hand in your boat. That's what Ian Murray said. You know, you're no good if you haven't got a good forward hand.
Just going fast and the excitement of not really being 100% in control of the situation. It's a bit of a challenge. Try and get in control.
You go downwind and chew your chewing gum on the wrong side of your mouth, you have a swim. Boy, they're that unstable.
The harder it blows, I like it the better, because you see some action, especially with the forward hand.
Have you ever been out in one of the boats?
Yes.
What's it like?
Terrible.
Is it?
Yeah.
She was all black and blue the next
black
day.
and blue.
Why, what happened?
Oh, I don't know, just kept running into things.
Don't ask personal questions.
A lot of things to hit.
Once you get your spinnaker up and the three of you get out in the outrigger, well, that is the ultimate sensation in sailing. For us 18-foot skiff sailors, that is what it's all about. And we all have to rely on each other, and that we know that they can handle the task.
And you can always count that the guys that sail them, you know, really know what they're doing. You don't get the usual mugs out there that you get in a lot of classes.
You've got to be super fit and young and very agile, and as I say, it's not a race for learners, put it that way. You've got to really know what you're doing out there.
Well, why do you come out on the ferry each week?
They come out to
Well, both their
Camalco.
fiancés are on these boats, yeah?
Unsponsored boat, need a sponsor.
They don't want to shirk money out.
Because the market's down and they tried at the wrong time of year. And companies aren't willing to risk that much money. And
How come they afford to race each week? Old man's checkbook.
Old man. Well said. Spot on.
Three Scully to lead round the mark. 3 to 1 Scully to lead round. Mackenzie 2 Diamond.
On an average Saturday afternoon, I understand there's 1,500 boats racing without the private boats that are not racing. You've got to try and think what the other fellow's going to do, because they're all intent on sailing and not looking where they're going a lot of them. It's the hardest work we do is following a sailing race.
And up come the ferry. And then all we saw was a jib and half of a boat round the front of the ferry. And the boat that our boys were on never come out the other side of the ferry. Oh, you're almost sick, you know, watching it.
Hey, where is ICL anyway? Wait a second, I think they're in the water over there.
The computers on that day has just capsized right in front of the ferry.
You know, if that was a wing, we'd get our wing up. But since it's ICL, they can't get it up, right?
I don't think you know what you said.
Supporters out here on a Saturday afternoon, the WANG and the ICL, particularly both being computers, thinks they're feuding, but it's all friendly. You know, afterwards everyone's smiling and saying, hi, how are you?
You're not saying ICL's wet, are you?
ICL is all wet.
Just because you've got a pommy skipper that does not have a bath, I mean.
Have you ever seen
Yeah, I will. Yeah, you wait until you come and take those banners off.
In the olden days, if they had a capsize, they had to wait for a boat to go and pick them up, not like today where they capsize and right themselves. Sometimes they're in the water for a long time before they were picked up.
Oh, you know, we have a wing up and down here.
They didn't transfer you. God, come to ICL, I'll give you a free transfer.
Really? Will you send me home, please?
Yeah.
At least for the holidays.
Oh, 6 went over within no time when another Saturday we came, you know, and they're going over and over. But as I say, these boats get up as fast as they go over, whereas the old type boats, well, you think you're sinking.
And of course, these things being an unlimited sail area, you do carry a lot of sail, and consequently, you know, you can't afford to make too many mistakes, or you just have a swim.
I'd like to make another pot of tea. I don't drink tea myself, but I like to serve Ellen a nice cup of tea.
At one of the boats. Where's John?
Men come in handy for more things than one.
But you'd be surprised we don't get half the mugs back. No. They must take it home, I'm sure. Unless they throw them overboard. But I mean, they're not plastic, you know, they're crockery ones. The kids, they're all kind to me, you know, that they don't touch the lollies or anything, they just say they want that. But in the olden days, they'd be grabbing this and grabbing that, but not these kids don't now, no.
Everybody's welcome to bring their kiddies down. The kids get a little bit noisy at times, but all in all, they're pretty good, and hopefully they see a bit of sailing out there and it'll get in their blood and just take on with their dads and so forth out there sailing today.
You know, Jason, the Commodore, well, I nursed their kids when they were little, you know, and look at them now.
The ladies on the ferry, well, they've seen us grow up, and we've sort of seen some of them come and go. But you've got the same old regulars all the time, and it's a good day out.
When I went out, it was like going on the Big Dipper. More exciting than that. As we sit on the ferry and watch them, they say, oh, you know, it's a long time until they go around the next mark and everything. When you're in the boat, you're around one mark, the next minute the fella's saying, right, we're going around, and we're around the next mark, and it was great. We swam that.
In one morning, we capsized 14 times. But Sydney Harbour is so beautiful, and I just love being on the harbour. It's not to watch the 18s, just come out and see all the other boats, and on the harbour everybody's equal. So that's why I come down all the time.
Just like coming out, seeing the harbour and meeting everyone.
Yeah. Have you ever sailed yourself? No? No.
Oh, once, didn't I?
Oh, upside down.
Upside down, dangling from the trapeze still attached to the harness. First time I ever went sailing was on the 18 on one of on the ICL picnic day.
Which we have every year, and he sort of slipped off the side of the boat, you see, and hung over the water, and he was underwater for a couple of minutes before people realised. And he was so big they couldn't actually get him up. I mean, you try lifting him.
I'd rather not.
Particularly when his head's underwater and he's hanging from a trapeze wire. It's rather hard.
Did he have a can with him?
No. No, I didn't have a can.
Yes, I've been out on picnic day each year. I've always had a ride, and the Queen of the Harbour the last time. My daughter didn't quite qualify because of age, so they looked for the next smallest person, and I think I was it.
We're going to have a handful today with this rig. They predict plenty. Fly on that now.
Hold on, they're going that side.
British thing.
This side. Oh.
Come on, Tony, make your mind up.
That's it. Right! All right, Kate, get that boat going.
The spinnaker they carry now are beautiful, aren't they? They're like Japanese, some of them, you know. They're nylon now, they were only calico before. They're dreadful. I'll never forget Stan King that day, and there was a boat come alongside of him, and I might tell you that he climbed up the mast and he knocked two of them out into the water, you know, and ripped the sails and everything. Oh, it was a day of days.
Boats would get tangled up with the boomers, stuck in each other. One of the crew, there's a butcher, and he had his knife still with him, you know. He ran out on the boom, and I said, push the boom overboard. And I pushed the boom overboard, and of course he went in the drink. He kept trying. That's sailing. You don't give way when you're in the right. Take a pole! Push! Get out! Drag her out!
The men are much more friendly now on the boats now than what they used to be.
Come back and hit the wire! All right, we're all get in. Take it easy, don't excuse.
I've had more capsizes in my boat going back to the shore after the finish than I have anywhere else. You tend not to try so hard. But when the race finishes, I suppose your first feeling is one of relief that you've actually made it around the track without capsizing or breaking gear.
Yeah. Some weirds.
Yeah, it's actually pretty dangerous there.
Then you realise how completely exhausted you are after probably 2 hours of constant physical effort, and all you feel like is going to have a hot shower and a cold beer. You always sleep well after a race, I can guarantee you that, in an 18.
I always go over to her and count them. She is the secretary. I don't know what she takes, but she knows what I take because I tell her, and I don't want no one to ever have suspicion of me anyway.
I have been secretary since 1937. Nobody else wants the job. And I've got to be secretary and treasurer now because our treasurer's given up too.
$6.12 for the scones. We do a lot for the club, really. We give them over 500 a year, and that's a help. We get a lot of visitors from America, from Germany.
It's breathtaking, absolutely magnificent. When I leave Sydney, I will miss it terribly because I don't think there's anywhere quite like it.
Why do you come out on the ferry?
To watch my boyfriend on Wang. I think it's great to watch, even for somebody that doesn't know much about sailing.
You're different. You're away from everything. The atmosphere's good. It's free. After coming in here for a few years, you get to know who's who, and you might see the bloke over the winter while the football's on. You don't see him. But you know, the same faces there every Saturday or every Sunday when the summer comes around, when the good weather's there. It's beautiful. I really look forward to September or the middle when the season opens, and it's really good. I think it's great.
Very good.
You are on film.
Michael, get the topsail. Why? Watch your fingers. Thank you.
Like any sport, when you get involved in it, you can have any sort of preoccupation at home or work or anything like that. You get out in the water, and especially in this class, you haven't got time to think about anything else. And you come off the water, you're totally refreshed. Physically, you've exercised yourself. Mentally, you've tested yourself, but in a different way. And you come off the water feeling very invigorated, doing something that is just very absorbing.
My husband was very sick, and he said, well, there's one thing I want you to promise me. He said, when I pass away, get my ashes and put them down as near to the starting line as you can get. So there we went down and put them down. Well, when the younger son died, he used to always say, Mum, if anything happened to me, will you put my ashes down with me father? So Mr. Lundy put them down. So he said, if I'm alive, he said, and you pass away, he said, what do you want? I said, I want my ashes put down with your father. I said, where we've always been.
Just have your attention for a few moments just to announce the results of today's race.
It's hard to imagine what the 18 is going to look like in 10 years' time. We can only assume that they'll be going a hell of a lot faster than they are now. We probably end up wearing crash helmets out there and padded suits. At the moment, only boats with sponsors can compete. The individual can't really afford to put an 18 in the water. But the 18's been going for 90 years, and I don't think we'll stop the 18s.
Well, you know, a lot has gone out of them in the way of people, obviously, but I think that things can only improve, whether it's society or boats. Someone's always got to do something that's a little bit better than the guy next door, his competitor, or that's basically what's happened here. You know, unless you stop the world, things have got to change.
But we used to go on Clark Island in those days. Oh, and we used to have wonderful times down there. We used to set up the tea. We used to only charge them threepence then. They were good days in them days.